I guess my advice is make sure that make sure that you're starting it for something other than just money. Because if you're starting it for money, when it comes to remember why you started, when you're frustrated on those days where this is due and that's not going right, or your website's down, or this, you can think back to why you started it all and remember that, and then keep going. There's going to be so many times where you're discouraged, and having a support system is also helpful with that. But just making sure that you're in it to win it, in it for the long run, you know?
Welcome to the show. I'm Vivian So of joliepagel.com. Today's guest is blogger, Instagrammer, and photography savant, Bethany of 20somethingplus.com. I'm excited to have her on the show, and I had so much fun talking with her. In this episode, we're talking about photography, analytics, and hashtags to grow your brand. We also had a little fun learning more about each other on a personal level, which you will find towards the end of the episode after the outro. We dished about Boston, Portland, and Chick-fil-A. Yes, you heard that right. Chick-fil-A. You can follow Bethany on Instagram at 20somethingplus or on her blog, www.20somethingplus.com. I have the bullet points of what we covered and her info linked in the show notes, which you can find on my blog at joliepagel.com. So I know we've never talked before. So.
Yeah. So that's no, not really, because stories and stuff. So I kind of know, but
oh, you've heard stories? What?
No, like Instagram stories.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? Have you been told to? Oh no. I know we follow each other on Facebook, so I'm like, well, maybe she saw some stuff on there.
Oh yeah, your childhood, man.
Oh my gosh, it's a
wild one.
It's drinking every weekend. Such a party animal. Oh, no, but I just want to say that your blog and Instagram is so beautifully curated. And anyways, I really love all the pictures you've posted on Instagram. And you've always had this very clean and polished look. And over the years, your photos have evolved. Do you hire your own photographer?
So when I don't want to like jump ahead, but
of course.
So I currently do not. My
Okay.
photographer is my boyfriend, but I have invested in equipment to get photos that I feel are aesthetically pleasing. Mm-hmm. But I'm not against working with photographers. It's just my schedule doesn't really accommodate.
Gotcha. And it's so much easier when you've got a boyfriend, an Instagram husband, so they say. Yeah. So the cameras that you use, what type of cameras do you use? Like, did you use your phone before and now it's more like a Nikon or a Canon?
I started with my phone mostly. I did have a lot of point and shoot cameras just from my love of photography prior to knowing what blogging was and knowing what Instagram, like before Instagram was invented, I guess, and or around. And once I learned that this could be like something that not only that I could do as a passion project, but also something that was profitable, I wanted to invest more. So I picked up, I took photography classes and invested in a Canon Rebel, and then learned photography with that Canon Rebel. And then from getting paid blog opportunities, I used that money to reinvest in the blog and upgrade to my full frame camera that I currently have.
How long have you been interested in photography, and when did you start taking lessons?
So my interest in photography kind of began, it's kind of one of those things that like you see a picture of yourself and you just love that picture. But even more than that, taking photos became like a passion. It began kind of in high school when those bubble Mac computers that everyone used to have. Yeah. And you take digital photography as like an elective. And I did that, and we got like a massive digital camera. And I just remember going everywhere and being like, Mom, we have to go here because I need to take pictures of this. And then she'd be like, do we really need to go there? No, we don't. But I want to take pictures there. So can we go? Doing that was very fun. So I kind of worked with that, which was awesome. Working with that camera and taking photos and editing them, learning editing and Photoshop in high school as the elective was just huge for me. It's by no means comparable to what we do today. early, but it kind of opened that door to become like the gateway to what I do now.
Yeah, definitely. The softwares that are available to us now, it's so incredible, especially when it comes to photography editing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what editing tools do you use now? Do you still
So
use Photoshop and
yeah,
Lightroom?
so I
Yeah.
use Photoshop mostly just because it's the one that I'm trained the most in. Lightroom I use on my phone more so than on a computer, just because the app itself on my phone on the phone is just easy to learn, and that's the one that if you order a preset or you create a preset, it's just insert, go, and you can copy and paste it onto all your photos and then tweak it accordingly. I usually tweak mine in Visco, which has been very helpful. A lot of people recommend Snapseed for edits. I don't know why, but Snapseed confuses me so much. So I pretty much just stick to Visco and try to keep my editing light. And then if I want it to look like filtered, I add grain is the easiest way for me.
And then noticing just from your Instagram feed and throughout the times that I've known you but not known you.
Small world.
Yeah,
The internet
there
makes it smaller.
there is definitely a difference between the photos posted on Instagram from a couple of years ago. They were vivid and warm and minimalistic and had more exposure, whereas now they're still very vivid, but they have like a cooler tone with less exposure. So, what inspired you to change, let's say, the voice of your feed?
So when I started, I feel like I'm starting everything with so when I
That's
started
okay.
blogging, um, when I started blogging, it was very much so directly related to Poshmark. A lot of things were I was trying to be style based, but I didn't have the know-how or the whereabouts of how to go into style blogging or anything like that. So Poshmark and like getting to know people as a community, and I liked that and wanting to continue that outside of Poshmark. So when I started, a lot of it had to do with beauty boxes and subscription boxes in that regard. And then like you're featuring products and the colors of the products matter. So I wanted it to be a very true tone. Warmer photos looked very aesthetically pleasing. But then I learned a lot about analytics, and cooler tones perform better. Like people love those filtered warm tone looks, which is great. And for some people, it works really well. But statistically speaking, cooler tone photos do better. So I kind of shifted due to analytics.
Okay.
And then after that, that just became my aesthetic.
Okay. Yeah,
So
because
I developed.
I really like your aesthetic. And did they mention why cooler tones work better?
No, like I learned it on like an Iconosquare, which is an analytic based app that took your Instagram insights and kind of made them for you before Instagram had its own insights.
Hmm.
And I remember getting like the annual report of like certain stats, and I never looked into them just because I was still very new to it, and that shift happened fairly early on, and it just continued that way. Like now I like desaturated cool tones.
So that, which is probably why I like your feed most. I'm part of the statistics here. But yeah, I do love looking at your feed. It's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Versus everyone else do have a bit more warmer tone, and usually when I look, I'm more attracted to yours and a couple of other people's accounts as well. So their analytics were right. So going back to posting, I've noticed like throughout the years again that you used to post more about beauty in your feed and now it's more concentrated on fashion. So what made you decide to focus more in fashion and less on beauty?
Part of it had to do with the accessibility. When I started my blog when I was in Vermont, which not that there's not clothes in Vermont, based on accessibility, my income at the time and kind of my direction led to, I guess, also my personal interest. Like I was more interested in doing my makeup than what I was wearing just because of my peers and who I was around at the time. Nothing against them, not saying that they weren't stylish, but just style wasn't a huge focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that style focus, or it became more clear to me that that was what I cared more about when I joined the community of Poshmark and started going to conferences and things like that. But also analytics again come into play. People typically tell you what they want. I mean, they might not do it in a very direct, blunt way, but like if you do like now you can post like a story and get like polls and things like that. But with analytics, it was very clear that my style post, like if I posted a photo of me in an outfit versus like beauty or my face, it would do exponentially better engagement wise. So
Hmm.
I kind of started doing that, and it's easier said than done just because I know like if it doesn't align with your interest, you're not going to want to make that kind of shift. But it felt right, so it was like a natural thing to do. It happened very organically in that regard.
Yeah, because I love looking at all the pictures that you post, your fashion posts, because they're very interesting and very unique. And most of the time, I want to buy everything that you wear.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, so I'm like, gosh. And then also, like, we mentioned Instagram stories, a great way to get like polls and feedback and engaging with your followers and responding to them. So one of the things is that I know you do respond to a lot of your followers. So what happens when you get a ton of message? Do you still find time to respond to each of them?
I try my best to find time to respond to most of them. Like a lot of it is with bots and things are out there, so you get a lot of spam. Instagram does help with that by having like a spam folder. Like if you're not following each other, then sometimes it kind of blocks it. So that one I don't check. That folder I don't check as much. Like if I have someone that I know I'm not necessarily friends with and respond to a lot, I'll flag it so that it comes up as a priority.
I didn't even know you can flag things like that.
Yeah, there's like it's I do it for my boyfriend so I don't miss his.
Of course.
And like family, like they're all flagged so you don't miss theirs. And if I'm working with a brand, I'll do it with them so I don't like because that you don't want to miss that. But I feel like I also don't get as many as a lot of people get. It's not impossible for me to. Like if I was getting a lot more, I'd have to rearrange how I do it or figure out how to prioritize it a little better. But
Right.
I currently am trying to respond to every single message that I get as long as it's going to that first mailbox and not the junk one.
Yeah, which is really nice of you to do that because some people, I get it, they get really busy and then they get a lot of messages and so they can't respond. But it's always nice when someone you're following responds to your messages. So, how do you, because not all of us are full-time Instagrammers and bloggers and whatnot, but how do you manage your time, like with your career and attending events and writing a blog post and posting on your Instagram account and to have personal time? Do you have like a calendar or how do you manage it?
It's tricky. I am very much a visual person,
Hmm.
ironically or unironically, I guess. So I need to like see it. I have a physical calendar and I have my iPhone, like the calendar on there, and I try to make sure that they both have all the same events, so I'm not missing things. But like things fall through the cracks. Like you have to, and not in the sense of necessarily getting neglected, but just having to figure out what you can and can't do. My full-time job is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So if there's like an event in the afternoon, I like usually I just can't go. If I want to go, like if it's something that like this is I need to be there and I can't miss this, I have to take PTO. So like I have to judge whether or not it's worth it to me value wise,
Hmm.
unless the company makes it easier by compensating. So that's something to also keep in mind. Um, Events in the evening, it just depends on like if I don't have anything going on in my personal time, then I go to those. But
Hmm.
a lot of it is just judging what to prioritize to me. Like if it's a beauty event, that's awesome, but like is it something that I can utilize on my feed? Is it something that I can utilize in my stories? Is it something that is actually beneficial for me to be there?
Hmm.
Or beneficial for my followers for me to be there. Like if it doesn't make sense for my followers to follow along to see that, like is it going to be authentic to me? Like if a brand that I would never in a million years buy something from invites me into an event, even if I have all the time in the world, I don't want to waste both of our time being there to to produce something that's not organic or authentic.
Hmm. I get you. Also, with your full-time career, does it in any way relate to what you do online or it's completely separate?
Completely separate. I
Okay.
work in telecom, So it's absolutely, I mean, it relates in the sense of it's internet, but it's not in the sense of anything else.
Gotcha. So, for people who are just starting out in the blogging world or posting on Instagram, most of those people want to know. Even I want to know, like, how do you gain authentic followers?
Like, I'm going to say this like it's the easiest thing in the world to do, but I understand and know that it's not. But it's being authentic. And I feel like that was one of those words that people said they wanted to leave in 2018. But
Uh-huh.
like, it means so much to be yourself on the internet. Like, putting yourself out there, being a little vulnerable, it's something that I struggle with. But when you do that, people see the real you. And if they don't like you, then fine. You don't well, like it's not a good match. They're not your target market then.
Hmm. Hmm.
Work with the people that you have. Whereas if you're being fake to get those followers, they're not gonna like when you are yourself, they're not going to enjoy your content or you're not going to enjoy what you're putting out. So it's just there's a whole mix of that. But like also trying new things. There like I would have never known that I could be successful as defined by me
Hmm.
in in the style world if I didn't make that transition,
Hmm.
even though it wasn't what I was putting out. But like using relevant hashtags has helped with that and
Yeah, it's and then have a good question would be, how do people figure out a relevant hashtag instead of just not doing hashtags all over the place?
one of the things that I've started doing more recently is looking at the hashtag itself, like like creating a list of hashtags that like and love and use. But like also looking into them if it's got over 100,000 um people, like if it's got like a ton of people using that hashtag, you're just gonna get lost in the feed. So you want to find hashtags that are kind of smaller so that you're
Hmm.
getting people who are able to see your posts, but also you want it to be as specific as possible. So if you post a red boot, you don't want to just post boot. You want to post red boot. If it's like a red heel boot, put red heel boot. Like check the
Hmm.
hashtag out first.
Hmm.
There's a lot of thought that goes into the content just because if you go ahead and post and then start using random hashtags, it could be hit or miss and you're kind of shooting in the dark. But if you explore the hashtags and look into them and see what's doing well for others and what has somewhat of a following, but not like way overexposed and overused.
Hmm.
That's just the way to make sure that you're using good hashtags.
That's really helpful, and good to know. Because sometimes I'm just like I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna put everything on here.
I've like done it. I've like
But yeah,
posted something and been like, what hashtags am I going to use? Oh, that's
yeah.
something I definitely should have looked into before. And then you use them
Hmm.
and they don't help.
Like some of those hashtags are insane because they'll have what 7 million posts in there,
Yep,
and I guess okay. So more specific hashtag that relates to what you're posting.
exactly.
Okay. Who are your 5 favorite blog, Instagram fashionists?
So my top five favorite. I feel like I have so many that I like love and follow. Like I'm one of those people like I remember specifically people being like, "Oh, so you must be like unfollowing a bunch of people all the time." And I'm like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, you just follow so many people. There's no way you're not like following." And I'm like, "I don't know what you mean." Like I love seeing these images on my feed and like switching it up and being inspired by it. So
Hmm.
like, no, I'm not. Like I actually enjoy following all 3,000 of the people that I'm following.
Yeah.
Um, I guess top five. One of them is definitely Sincerely Jules. Like consistently across the
Um,
board, if you ask me
so
that question.
speaking of all the 3,000 people that you're and you do go through 3,000 of the people that you follow and you do look at their feed.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like Instagram hides some of them from me now, which wasn't an issue before, so that kind of is sucky. But like I wouldn't unless if I haven't met you or had like an interaction with you, then your feed must really inspire me for me to follow you. When
Hmm.
I'm working with a brand, I wanna like I try to only work with brands, not even try. I only work with brands that I feel are authentic to my actual lifestyle. So like it's a courtesy to follow them as well. So they're like I keep those around. But top five definitely is going to have to be Sincerely Jules is one of my absolute favorite bloggers. Just her style and aesthetic, like it is more warm than what I'm usually attracted to. It's just inspiring. Like, it's
Hmm.
the juxtaposition of some of her photos, and she takes simple style or simple casual style and makes it look extremely elevated. So you could ask me this 10 years from now and she's probably still going to be in my top 5. Another is Anina Bing. She's one of the I was gonna say fashion designers, and then I was like, no, blogger, but she's both. She designed through her blog. She designed her own fashion line, and it resonates with my personal style so much that to say that I don't enjoy her taste is just that would be a lie.
Yeah, she does have some really fun pieces. I do like them.
Since I was gonna say sincerely Blake, but that's not what it is. It's signed Blake. She used to be Blake Von D and recently rebranded to Sign Blake, and she has been a huge inspiration for me, both through her content. Her stories are so engaging that she could ask people to do something and they're going to do it. She now shares like she she does this thing where she's like got not I don't want to say OCD, but she's very organized and clean, and she
Mhm.
did this series called Neat Freaky, and everyone's like obsessed with it. And she had like a playlist going on in the background, and people were like, "Please share your playlist." And like it's like now a weekly thing. Like she shares a new playlist every so often, so
Oh, fun.
that's really fun.
Yeah.
Like her stories are huge inspiration. Just her photos have so much class and elegance that it's truly inspiring. Who else? Chasing Denise. She's actually the person that I go to for my presets. What I like about her feed is that there's no filter. Like when you ask Denise a question, you get Denise's answer. Like you get what you're gonna get. She doesn't hold her tongue. She speaks when she feels it's necessary, and her photography style and her editing skills are just so amazing. So I can't not include her. She's on my list of people I want to shoot with, so that's like
Oh, that'd
hopefully
be.
happening this year.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
I'm
If not,
like
we can.
I know I'm like trying to like narrow it down because there's just so many people.
Oh, I
Um,
know. It's a tough question.
Somewhere lately, that's actually two bloggers who have a blog together. And I just feel like they do a very good job of sharing sales and dupes of where to find things that they do. And that's something that I need to be better at. So that's an inspiration in that regard. I like following them. Like I know that Rag and Bone is one of the brands that they feature a lot. And I know that if there's a sale at Rag and Bone, they're going to link it. They're going to give their code. They're going to do what it takes to make it happen. And sometimes I forget that it's two people. And that should be the goal when there's two people sharing it.
I'm always impressed with bloggers and Instagrammers who can find a sale as quickly as they do and just
Right.
post it. I'm just like, how do you do this?
Like I
I,
know that affiliate links and things like that help because they do alert you when there's certain sales, but they're just so good at taking it and making it
yeah,
their own. And
yeah.
like by the time I find out about the sale and then put together the story to make it look like cohesive with my brand, I just feel
Mhm.
like the sale's already over. They're just on it.
I know, me too. I'm just like, oh, forget this. Never mind. Scrap for another time. I'll try better next time.
Yep, that's me.
So right now, what is your main staple, a must-have in your closet?
Oh gosh. If I want to say denim and leather, but I know that this is like a one specific thing. It's a good leather jacket.
Yes.
I just can't like I know that some people are like not real leather, faux leather, like pleather, vegan leather, and that's fine too. But
Hmm.
like my leather jacket is just like my favorite thing. Like I mean I have like a few of them, but like my thick real it's actually a Madewell one, but it's called the Ultimate Leather Jacket. I don't know what I'd do without that.
Yeah, especially during the winter.
Exactly.
Those leather jackets keep you so warm.
Exactly.
What is one thing that we don't know about you that you wouldn't mind sharing with all of us?
I don't know if this is like a thing that people don't know necessarily or just assume that it's not the case, but I'm definitely an introvert. Like before this podcast, I had to take a nap. Like I like went to an event
Oh.
and definitely had to come home and take a quick nap just to like recharge almost and like take a moment. So like yes, I love being social and that's something that's a part of what I love to do, but like I definitely need to like come home, recharge, and like have some me time. And self care is huge in that.
Uh, yes, it is. I completely understand. I'm also an introvert and I I work in retail.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like
After a whole week of talking to people and working in sales, I am done. I just want to go home and nap or binge watch something on Netflix.
Same. Like I'm more of a Hulu girl, but exactly. Like
Hmm.
to just veg out and not have to do anything.
Oh yeah, it's like the best feeling, at
Like I'll
least to
forget
me.
that I have. No, I agree. Sometimes I'll forget that like I've made plans with friends, and like don't get me wrong, I very much so love my friends, but like I'll have gone to something or like been peopling all day and just like,
Hmm.
ugh.
Just like I
And
need a nap.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of bloggers are introverts. I don't know if you
yes,
noticed that, but there are
yes,
so many. I think that's why a lot of people do well blogging is because they don't need to talk. They don't need to be in the moment to express themselves versus they can just think about it and post whenever they want or when they feel comfortable to.
exactly. On their terms. That's
Yes.
a huge part of that. Like I need to like I feel like my blog has taken very much so a back burner to Instagram just because of the way it's been things have been working.
Hmm.
But like I know that I can post and say what I want to say and it's my words without having to like think about what this person's going to think or what that person's going to think and like in the moment when you're in a social setting those are all things that need to come into consideration and it's just a lot.
Yes, it is. So, what advice do you have for people who are just starting out in the blogging or Instagram world?
I I remember being at a conference and sitting at a panel and myself and another blogger kind of had a not a disagreement, just took very different stances on why to start blogging. And she was like, "You very much so should start this as a business and to gain money." And I was like, "No, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons then." And then she's like, "No, why wouldn't you take advantage of that?" And it wasn't that I didn't think you should want to make money off of blogging. It was that I felt that if that's the only reason you're doing it and there's no passion behind it, what's the point?
Hmm.
And I, I guess my advice is make sure that make sure that you're starting it for something other than just money, because if you're starting it for money, when it comes to remember why you started, when you're frustrated on those days where this is due and that's not going right or your website's down or this, you can think back to why you started it all and remember that and then keep going. There's going to be so many times where you're discouraged, and having a support system is also helpful with that. But just making sure that you're in it to win it, in it for the long run. You know.
Yes, in my first episode, the only episode that's uploaded right now, I have another one that's going up this week, but this is also related to what we talked about, Christine from Simply
Hmm?
Steen. She also mentioned the same thing. If you don't have any passion behind it, you're going to get burnt out.
So
And
burnt out.
very, very true.
And like
Well, mhm.
a more basic tip is just natural lighting is everything.
Oh yeah, natural light. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Especially like if like I always look at people who are living in LA or just the sunny
Oh my
areas of the
goodness,
United
it's
States.
so gorgeous, and you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
wish I could do that, looking out your dark window as you.
I know. It's so dreary up in the north.
Yes, I was like, it's 5 and the sun's already setting.
Right now it's,
I know it's not.
I'm in the northwest, so it's
Yeah,
not quite there
not the
yet, but
same.
it will be. We'll catch up.
We'll be
But
just there.
yeah, it will be. And so, like, over here, the opportunity for natural light is like 11 to 2 o'clock
So
before it
when
starts fading.
I'm like, if you're, and that's another one of those things that you got to remember when you started. If it's if you have just one weekend to shoot something, that's 11 to 2 for two
Oh,
days. If
yeah.
it rains
Oh,
or
my God.
snows,
Hmm.
you've narrowed your time down to nothing, and then people that you're working with are like, "Where's that?" And it's like, oh,
Yep. Time
the
to
way the
pull out
sun sets. Yeah, the
the
lantern.
lights.
Yep,
Yeah. And it just doesn't look the
it's
same.
not
I just want to thank you, Bethany, for coming on the show and doing
for
this for
doing this.
me.
I was like, "Yay!" I was like, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
be on a podcast."
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I know I don't know her, but I know her.
Yeah, I remember the music group. So I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, I want to do this."
I know, I was so excited. I'm like, yes, one of my favorites is coming on the show. I would actually love it if you would come on again in the near future.
Great. I'm
Um,
like excited that you're doing this. Like I feel like there's like so many, like not so many, but there's podcasts out there and I'm just like, but this doesn't like relate to me, or like like people listen to
mhm.
like the crime stories and things like that and I'm like that's cool, but like I want like industry things, like more industry, and this is like perfect.
Good. I'm trying to do more like, I just want to do more of women supporting women
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. So I view bloggers, influencers as entrepreneurs because you are.
Absolutely.
So I definitely, with Christine, I know her so well. That's why I asked her to be on my first show. She's someone I'm comfortable with. And then the one that I'm going to upload this week is a friend of mine who's a life coach, but I think she
Ooh,
has some very valid points to make. She's
I'm
she does it
excited.
all. She's a single mother. She does real estate. She's a life coach. I think a lot of people can gain some insight from her.
For
And
sure.
she also mentions a lot of things that you and Christine also mentioned, being more authentic in things that we use daily, like building networking relationships and why it's so important to build community.
Oh, so important. I'm like,
Very
oh
important.
man, I didn't say it, but like
I can add it in.
but I was like, no, I'm sure she touched on it and I know Christine did, so it's fine.
It is, yeah, it is very important because, the way I see it is like right now I'm kind of in a good place mentally. I'm trying to get back into blogging and doing Instagram. And this is podcast is all new to me, but I feel that I really need to start gaining more people in my tribe because
Hmm.
I don't have that support. I mean, I do. It's
But
very
it's not. It's
small. Right. It's different. It's like I need people who I want to support, who also supports me, who I
mm,
also enjoy talking to and inspire to be. So yeah, that's why I asked you to be on here.
thank you. I'm glad that you did. This is awesome. I'm
Yeah, I'm
really glad
glad
you're
you.
doing this because, like, I mean, not that I don't have a support system, like you said, but like
Mhm.
having a larger net, larger, broader net is just so exponentially helpful. And
It
like
is.
you get help in a different way, and you can give help in a different way. Like I feel like all my friends already, not my friends, but like I mean, my friends, but my blogger friends, a lot
Mhm.
of them already know, like, they know what camera to use, they know to use natural light, they know those things. But like, I don't have anyone who's a life coach in my life who can just tell me, or not
Oh
just
yeah.
tell me, but like who can advise as to certain things or what's needed. And I'm like
Mhm.
really excited for this episode now. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, me too. Because I'm just listening. When I first interviewed her, I'm like, I'm so glad I picked her because this is so informative and it's just interesting how, I mean, it's more about like her, how she's building her life coach, but she also gives, good advice about, like, we were talking about something that was really interesting, which was the male and female essence. And I
hmm,
was just listening to that earlier because I was editing it. And she was just saying how people are more, she's advising people, and she's noticing that people are more gearing towards the female essence because it's more caring, it's more connecting with and building relationships versus male essence, which is only about producing the end result.
hmm,
So I thought that was really interesting. And that works in both, blogging world and for me like sales as
right,
well.
right,
Well,
yeah,
I'm very excited. And
me
again,
too.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Thank you for listening to my third episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode and gained insights into how to create an authentic following by being yourself and using the appropriate hashtags. Please stick around for our bloopers and get to know us while we talk about Boston, Portland, and yes, Chick-fil-A. And no, this isn't an advertisement for them. Again, I can't thank Bethany enough for taking the time to come on my podcast and give me the great idea of having a blooper reel at the end of the episode. If you'd like to go over what we covered today on my podcast, visit joliepagel.com and please subscribe on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Please do leave me a 5-star rating and hopefully a stellar review. I'd appreciate it. Tell me your takeaway from this show or what you would like to hear in the future. You can message me at by Jolie Pagel on Instagram or email me at vivian@joliepagel.com. All this info will be in the show notes. Please do share this podcast with your family and friends, bloggers, Instagrammers, and entrepreneurs, because life is about sharing. Until next time.
Oh, yeah. If you were here or I was there, we'd totally hang out all the time.
I know. I'm like, hey, I was like, I heard the coffee and I'm like Portland, Seattle, both. I hear both have really good coffee, so I'm like, maybe I'll come that way and then swing by Seattle.
Yeah. And
I
I've been
know
to
it's not that
Boston
close,
before.
but so then
I've
come.
been,
Never mind, you come here.
you're going to have to drive, though. I did not like driving there.
No, no one. Oh my! The first time I ever had like an anxiety attack in a car was Boston.
Oh, my
Like
gosh.
I'm from New England, but I'm from Connecticut. And I
Uh-huh.
remember like I'm gonna do this fun workout thing that's in Boston with the Celtics cheerleaders, and I'm so excited. And I remember driving home and being like, I don't know where I am, and the
Oh, my
roads aren't straight, and everything curves, and there's an on-ramp that's under a bridge, and I'm just yeah,
And
I
there are
was
no street signs.
it was so
Oh, my
yeah,
gosh.
like I pretty much take the T everywhere.
Yeah, I was there over 10 years ago, and I rented a car. I I'm trying to like it's been so long I don't even remember what. Okay, I flew into Manhattan, then my boyfriend at the time flew in there a couple of hours later. We met there, rented a car after being a few days in Manhattan, then drove to Boston because he wanted to go see Fenway, go to a
Mhm.
game. And then but I was driving, so I was so scared for my
The
life.
parking is always like it's never consistent across like states. It's always like some kind of
Oh my
change, and cities make
God.
it harder. And
Yeah. But I just remember being downtown Boston and I was so scared because, first of all, I couldn't see any signs, street
oh,
signs. There's like none. And what was funny was one time I went to London by myself and it was almost the same thing. And I was like, this is Boston all over again.
I was like, I think that they're like I'm pretty sure Boston's like modeled after England, like most of New England is.
Oh
I think so. Like, yeah, that sounds very scarily accurate. Like,
my gosh.
note
Yeah,
to self: don't go
luckily,
to England because you'll also be on the other the cars on the wheels on the other side, right?
oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't drive, but yeah. It was what's so funny was I was on the Strand and I was trying to go I was like hotel hopping. So I was trying
Mhm.
to find my next hotel and I'm walking and I'm like looking I think I had my phone at the time. I'm trying to remember if I had a piece of paper with a map or a phone, but anyways, I was like I stopped on a corner and I'm like I think this is where the street is, but I don't understand. And so I stopped someone who clearly has an English accent of some type. And I'm like, where is the street? And he starts looking around like, I don't know.
Never heard that street before in my life.
And then all of a sudden he looks up and the street sign is on the building. And
Ooh,
he's all, oh, it's right here. We're standing on it. It was so weird.
man.
But
But
yeah,
that does make sense. Like, I get it. I just,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's
I'm
okay.
so
So yeah,
thankful for maps, like
I know.
Google Maps, not like
Mm-hmm. Totally get it. And so
where
yeah,
am I though?
but we should make it one day when we're traveling, we should make it a point to meet each other. Either if you're
Yeah,
traveling over here or if I'm traveling over there. It'd be great.
I have like a former boss who was like one of my like a former boss who I transferred to work under him from a different job,
Mhm.
and he lives in Salem.
Oh, Salem, Oregon? Or
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, there's
yeah.
Salem over there
No,
too.
no, yeah. Sorry, Salem, Oregon. But I was trying to remember if it was like I know he went to Salem State, but I'm trying to remember if it was Salem. I'm confused. I don't know if I'm confusing the school with the town or what he did. I don't know what I'm doing. But like I think he lives in Salem.
Okay, so Salem
How close?
is, yeah, our capital. So it's about like an hour and a half away from Portland.
Ah,
But
nothing. I got that.
yeah, I know.
I'm assuming they're street signs, so I should be okay.
Yes, we're very well equipped with street signs here. So, um, but yeah, I actually don't know that much about Salem. I've never lived there. I've just visited when I was really young, but I haven't been back since then. But it's here. We can definitely go down there too.
We'll take a pilgrimage.
But oh my goodness.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, like yeah, Portland is definitely not as old as Boston, but it's very charming, and we do have some good coffee. Not all of it is good, personally,
Not
my preference, but
okay. I'm like,
there,
uh-oh.
yeah,
It's like a good thing.
there's no
I was
Dunkin'
like,
Donuts here, so.
yeah, that's more than fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Dunkin', but there's like only so much sugar a girl can take.
uh But yeah, so what's funny is we got Krispy Kreme, and it was, I don't know, it was like a big deal, and it took hours to get donuts there at
Oh,
one point. And then now recently, like 2 years ago, we got a Chick-fil-A, and
that's gonna be
people,
like,
it was so crazy. So this came 2 years ago, and I still never tried it up until like last month.
hmm, you
And
think worth the wait?
no, I know it's terrible. Okay, so I think it was like Friday or Saturday night, and it was after work, and I'm like, I'm gonna try Chick-fil-A because my coworkers are talking about it and they're raving about it, and I go there. It's kind of like a area where it's like outdoor shopping
Like
center
a
area.
outlet kind of thing? Like,
It looks like an outlet, but it's not. There's a
uh,
Target and a Best Buy, and then in a weird corner, there's Chick-fil-A, and they have this. So I'm driving there, and I'm like, oh my God, they have this massive parking lot that belongs to them. And it was completely full. And
so
I'm
you're
like,
thinking this is gonna be like the best dang meal ever.
yeah. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, how does everyone fit into that small building? And then I look in the drive through, I'm like, oh my God, this line is massive. But they're very efficient. Like I'm like very surprised. They had like four people out there taking orders, very efficient, very fast. So that was great. And all the while I'm texting Christine from Simply Steve, and I'm like, what do I order?
Tell me what to get.
What do I get? She's like, well, my husband likes the deluxe, whatever chicken, spicy chicken. I'm like, I'll get that. And I'm like, so then the girl's like, what kind of sauce would you like? I'm like, sauce?
What does this even mean?
What is
Yeah,
this? What?
I just want to order. Like, I don't need a specialty like thing, but like make me pick the things. Ugh.
Oh my gosh, and there's like 10 million different sauces. And I look at her, I'm like, this is my first time here. What should I pick? And she's like, okay. Well, everyone likes the signature sauce. I'm like, I'll just take that. And then I remember Christine's like, oh, get the cookie. And I'm like, I'll get the cookie as well.
And the cookie.
And the cookie. But no, the sandwich was good, but I just
It was
didn't
too much.
understand all the rave.
Yeah.
I will have to say the signature sauce was delicious. I mean, I didn't just like use
What
a
about the
spoon and
cookie?
eat it, but like the cookie was really warm and delicious.
Okay.
But it was on the little sweet side, like too sweet. But yeah, the waffle chips with the sauce was good.
I'm like a slight rebel in the
Hmm.
sense of like when everyone says that everyone loves something, like it takes like I either wait until it's no one's talking about it anymore to indulge in it,
Hmm.
or like just
Hmm.
don't do it. So like
Right.
Stranger Things I love, but like it took forever for me to get into it because I everyone was talking about it. So like Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
I've never had it, and there's like I know there's one near me somewhere. I've never had it, and like I hear people
Right.
talking about it all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, no. So I was really hoping you were gonna be like, no, it was when you said it was awful. I was like, good, good, but it was not that the food was awful. It was just not worth the
Yeah, it's not
hype.
worth the wait. Like that was I went to work and told everyone my experience. I'm like, I will not go back there again. And if I do because someone said there's something I really need to try, I'm going to try to figure out a time when there's no one there, and that could be 5 years.
That makes complete sense to me.